guys, it's Janis. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so basically we're in Shanghai right now for a law internship, and this is my friend Sarah. She's
Hi.
from Hong Kong as well. She studies at
King's College London.
I studied at UCL, and today's video is going to be about what first year of law school was like. So I was at UCL doing law, she was at KCL doing law. So we're just going to talk about doing law school and living in London. So the first question is, how much time do you spend studying per week? Like, UCL has this guideline. They say you have to do like 40 hours per week and you have to treat it like a full-time job. And where this is going is, I don't think you actually need to do that much.
I probably study like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
So that'd be like 28, around 28 a week. Yeah, I study more during weekdays and before exams, definitely.
Yeah, and I think it depends, because I don't like studying after dinner because I'm too lazy after dinner, so I just do studying in the day for the weekdays, and then I'll study in the weekends.
Yeah. How many hours do you study in a week?
I feel like also 4 hours on weekdays, and sometimes I'll study on weekends. It'll depend on the week.
40 hours a week.
But actually you don't need to, I mean, all the studying you do during term is prepping for your lectures and tutorials, and then you don't actually do any studying until before your exams.
Yeah.
When you realize you have to memorize all the stuff you learned.
Yeah.
So is it more difficult or easier than you expected?
I have a really complicated answer for this. I think it's definitely easier to do well, but it's more difficult to do really, really well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, in order to get a decent mark that you're happy with, I think it's easier than I expected. Like, before law school, I imagined it to be like days of crying and studying, but it's actually better than I expected. But in order to get like an outstanding grade, I feel like that's harder than what I imagined.
I was gonna say, like, during the term time you think it's quite easy because you sit there in the lecture and you do kind of get everything, so you're like, oh, this is kind of easy, I understand everything. And then like when you get to the exams and you
start to panic.
memorize it and you start crying.
No, I remember when I was doing past paper questions, there was I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my god, this is actually hard.
Oh, and then in the exam questions, like, our teachers will say, weak students will mention blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I mentioned all of those. But then actually it's not that hard if you actually follow the guidelines and do everything you're supposed to do. What law related activities do you do, and do you actually have to do them? So I'm talking about like mooting, debating, because that was like my biggest concern about going to law school. I was so scared of public speaking, so I was thinking I would just study and not do any of those, but I did end up doing some. So I did like mooting, I didn't do debating, I did like negotiations, and then I don't think you actually have to do them, but I think 90% of people do them.
Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that mooting actually takes up a lot of time.
No, I did speed mooting.
Oh, okay. Okay, apart from that, in general, mooting takes up a lot of time. So I would advise you to do it in first year if you're interested in that, but it's definitely not necessary. It's a lot of stress as well, but it's fun.
But most of the stress isn't actually about public speaking, I feel like, because you do a lot of preparation before going in, so you're kind of like reciting when you get in there.
Yeah.
So it's not that scary, even if you hate public speaking. What do you enjoy most about studying law?
Nothing.
I think you're gonna say like tutorials, like talking to other people.
Yeah. So at King's we have this thing called seminars. It's 1 2-hour seminar per module per month. Per month, yeah. So we have 4 seminars every month on each topic, and basically it's 2 hours of students debating and talking about the theory and the philosophy behind rules or precedents. So that is my favorite part, because that's when you get to talk about why the law is how it is, or what it ought to be, instead of just what the law is.
Or it kind of helps, like, if you don't understand anything, you go in and you say stuff, and then you realize, or like, other people know just as little as you do. It's kind of easier, and then you don't feel as scared as when you're just reading your textbook at home. So it's kind of fun.
There was one time someone asked a stupid question.
Oh my.
And then it's when the teacher answers that stupid question that you realize that you kind of didn't really understand that in the first place, and it wasn't actually a stupid question.
And to be fair, the like the teachers at UCL, the professors are really nice. Like British people are quite nice.
Yeah.
They're gonna call you brilliant no matter what you answer. So it's not that
It's very
hard.
different from Hong Kong.
Yeah. Okay, how do you juggle adulting since we're living by ourselves in London and studying? I think it helps that your dorm room is like the size of a closet, so you don't actually have to do any cleaning. I don't know.
And also if you live in halls,
yeah, I didn't cook because I
Yeah.
had catered.
you don't have to, but I think for me it was quite easy because I just made sure that I did my chores during study breaks, or like it was kind of like a distressing activity for me, like cooking my food, doing my laundry, cleaning my toilet, whatever. I did it whenever I was bored, not like specific slots of time.
Yeah. So. Okay. How do you not become broke while living in London? Okay. So good. Okay, number 1, do not take any public transport unless you have to.
Yes.
And what I mean by have to is if you have to walk more than 45 minutes to your destination, then you take the public transport. If you walk less than 45 minutes, you walk.
I agree. I agree. Especially because London is really a walkable city.
Yeah. And it's so fun. It's so pretty.
It's so pretty. So that's my rule as well. If it's less than 45 minutes, I'll just walk.
And the weather is amazing for walking.
Yeah.
If you're from Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get sweaty and hot and impatient. Also, I think for food, there are a few apps like Olio, OLIO, where you get food for free at the end of the day, or Too Good To Go, where you get food for discounted prices. And also Uni Days.
Yeah.
Uni Days, where you get student discounts. Yeah.
Mostly just don't eat out unless you have like an event to go to, or if you're hanging out with friends, just don't eat out by yourself because it's too expensive. Yeah. Anything else? No.
You're gonna be broke. Just
we only had 2 tips because we're broke. How hard was it to find internships or like fact schemes and so on? So the one we're currently on is in Shanghai. It's really obscure because most people watching aren't from Hong Kong, but if you're from Hong Kong, you can actually do internships in mainland China. Actually, I think it was quite hard. I think that was the most stressful part about the first year of law school, which was like you arrive at school at like October, and then that time people are already telling you, oh, you need to apply for like first year schemes and internships, and then you have to apply in like November, December. So like that was the most stressful part. But I think like after you force yourself to make the application, and
once you start,
it's just like another piece of homework. I would say just treat it like another piece of homework. Just finish it, and then if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Don't treat it as like applying for a university like it's like once in a lifetime.
I think the problem is a lot of people apply it mechanically, so they just feel like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this, so I apply for these, but they don't really personalize their applications. I feel like once you personalize them and you apply to, quite a few, don't just apply to 1 or 2, then it's not that hard to actually secure an internship in London. Yeah,
and also I feel like most hard things about getting an internship is you want to get into those big international commercial firms, but also even though you could try to apply for those at the start, not everyone's going to end up working at a big international commercial firm. So like it's not like your only career option, which was I think what like this like the law society and stuff sort of forced onto us kind of at the start, which is like, okay, you have to do this and then you have to join all these things or you're not going to get a job. But actually there are so many more like career opportunities, so you don't actually have to like kill yourself if you don't get those like big opportunities.
Yeah, and you might realize that you actually really enjoy some niche area.
Yeah, like working in Shanghai.
Or some other jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So
there's always lots of other stuff. What should new students do to prepare for law school?
Watch Suits.
Oh my gosh. Watch How to Get Away with Murder, but it's not actually accurate.
It's so unrealistic.
I think the one show that got me interested in law was The Good Wife, which is quite realistic, but it's like US law.
What did you do before law school?
I feel like I sort of wanted to do a lot of stuff, and so like I read a lot of books, and then UCL gave us some material to study, so I studied those.
Before September?
No, yeah, it's homework. But then I think what's really funny is you feel like you're achieving a lot before law school. You're reading all this stuff and you're like, oh, I know so much stuff. And then when you get in, the professor covers all of that within like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So like you're like,
that's so true.
I am so much slower than I should have been, and then they're so much more advanced than I am. So I feel like when you get in, you're going to feel extremely left behind. But then it's also, you catch up really quickly during the year. Like, you adapt really quickly, I feel like.
Yeah, another thing you can do is research for firms that you're interested in, or particular legal fields maybe. So because when you apply first year schemes or whatever scheme you want to apply, usually you don't really have the time to delve deep into each single organization or law affiliated chambers, whatever. So it would also be helpful if you spend your summer
or
researching about it.
Yeah. Or if you're way before law school, you can actually go to some university programs that give like high school students a chance to take law classes. That's where we met. Sorry, so we met like 2 years ago, and then we didn't recognize each other, but we recognized each other again in this internship. So like 2 years later. So like also the people you meet when you do these like university programs might end up being your classmates in your future. Okay, so thank you guys so much for your questions. I'm going to link the stuff we talked about in the description, and also I made a video last year about what law students should do to prepare for law school, so I'm also going to put that in the description. And yeah, tell me what you guys would like to see next, and hopefully I'll be back very soon. Bye!